Excuse me, sir, is this the Delta House?
Sure. Come on in.
They have cold beer and action on the game.
I'm shocked to find that gambling is going on in here.
It's time for the Degenerates Next Door.
Dollar bills, y'all.
Let's see if we can switch the mojo a little bit this week. My name is Jason Hammer. Rob Kendall is right next to me. I do the Hammer and Nigel show in Indianapolis. Rob Kendall does the Kendall and Casey show in Indianapolis. And again, I hate to come out of the gate right away being negative, right? Because you always want to hook the listeners in. Like the first 15 seconds, you want to hook them in. But damn it, if you had a good week last week, raise your hand. I don't see any hands raised around here, Rob. It was a bloodbath last week.
Yeah, I mean, well, let me rephrase here. I had a good college football week. The NFL, though, 2-3. That's not good. That's not making money. Yeah, I'm with you. NFL, no good.
So, spread picks, survivor picks, money line parlays, gone. It was one of the biggest weeks for the house in over 25 years this past weekend. Bookmakers in Las Vegas made a killing. Your money, your picks, your pride, gone. All gone. Narrator from The Christmas Story, back me up here.
Gone, all gone.
It was one kick to the nuts right after the other, Rob.
Well, yeah, but I mean, like, who had the Raiders beating the Ravens? I mean, you can't blame that on the people who prognosticate, right? I mean, nobody had that. Who had Dallas getting beat by the Saints on the money line? Nobody had that.
Last week, 86% of the public had the 49ers, and that was a loss. 83% of the public was on the Ravens. 81% on the Eagles. 80% on the Texans to cover 6.5, which the half came into play. The Colts, 75%. The Cowboys, all of them. One kick to the nuts right after the other. There hasn't been a weekend like that in a long time in Las Vegas, Rob.
Yeah, so only one thing to do, Hammer, is keep betting.
That's it. That's exactly it. So, with that being said, we got a game tonight.
Ooh.
Brett Michaels, I want action.
I want action tonight. Satisfaction all night.
And I got to be honest with you. If this game were not a Thursday, I would want nothing to do with it. Tonight is like the Caddyshack 2 of football games. The Patriots are at the New York Jets.
Oh, no.
Jets are a 6-point home favorite. It's the home opener. The over-under is set at 38.5. The Patriots have been better than I thought they would be. But still, that offense is pretty gross. It's Jacoby Brissett. They're not going to get shots down the field. They're just not. But their defense has been pretty good, especially the run defense. But that offense, gross. And the Jets have kind of been up and down a little bit. Got blown out at San Francisco. Okay, that happens. San Francisco's really good. Last week against the Titans, ugly first half, but they kind of figured it out in the second half. So what do we do with a gross game like tonight? On one hand, I'm looking at the number 6. That is a big number in a divisional game. Plus, NFL underdogs of 6 or more are 8-0 against the spread through 2 weeks in the NFL.
Buddy.
So big numbers are covering. But if you're looking for a bigger body of data, how about this? Since 2010, Thursday night prime time unders that have a total of 40 or less, and tonight falls in that category, 38.5. Since 2010, 40 points or less cashed 73% of the time on Thursday nights. And if you want to go next level here, because this is how much time I dedicate to doing this, I didn't pay my mortgage. I've been ignoring my wife and kids. But if you take away the freezing cold months of December and January, the unders are cashing at an 82% clip.
Wow.
So here's what we're going to do. We're going to hold our nose and we are going to go under 38.5 points, Rob.
That's a tiny number, Hammer. That's a tiny number. But I'll tell you what, the Jets are not great. I mean, they've got Aaron Rodgers, but they're not great. I watched that game last week. I got beat by the hook. I had under 40.5. They got 41 in that game against the Titans. They're not great. I don't think the Patriots are world beaters. That sounds like a teeny tiny number, but I could easily see this ending up like a 17-14 type of affair, which would totally get you a cash.
So let's look at some player props, okay? Because you're going to need some sort of action throughout the game to make this thing interesting. Again, it's a total turd of a matchup. I hate the fact that everybody talks about the Jets and the Patriots. It's just a gross matchup. But if you got action on it, you can make anything interesting. I'll bet on two fat guys playing catch outside of my house to make it interesting. How about this? New England tight end Hunter Henry. We're going to go over 32.5 receiving yards. Last week against Seattle, 8 receptions, 109 yards.
Wow.
Now, he was a non-factor in week 1, but it feels like Jacoby Brissett found a little something last week. Plus, you know that he can't go down the field, so your tight end becomes your go-to weapon, and he plays 85% of the snaps. So we're hitching our wagon on a guy that's going to be on the field. Hunter Henry over 32.5. Jets running back Breece Hall. We're going over 31.5 receiving yards, Rob. Listen, Patriots run defense, it's pretty good. It's total opposite of that offense. Their run defense is pretty good. So if the Jets want to get the ball in the hands of their best playmaker, they're going to have to get him involved in the passing game. We're going over 31.5 receiving yards. And Aaron Rodgers, under 30.5 attempts. Total passing attempts. Not completions, just attempts. If the Jets get a lead, they're just going to run the ball and milk the clock and make the Patriots beat them in the passing game. I don't think that's happening anytime soon, Rob.
I like all those bets. I usually hear your bets, and then I think, man, I wish I'd made those my bets. I like all those bets. I like them.
All right, let's take a little time out here. And when we come back, let's get our pro in here, Kenny Britt from KB Sports. He wants to talk about what I think is the premier game on the slate, the Ravens at the Cowboys. We'll talk about that. We'll dive into this Colts game. We're just getting started. We are the Degenerates Next Door. Back on the Degenerates Next Door, Rob Kendall's here. I'm Jason Hammer. And our professional handicapper is here, Kenny Britt of KB Sports. KB, you've been rolling this year. You've got a great record. Your subscribers are making money. Give us a winner.
Well, hey, guys. Thanks for having me on. I have 19-8 on the year in football. I do want a little tidbit. The Colts are now 0-57 against backup quarterback.
We talked about that last week. Yes.
Wow. So I'm going to hone in on the Dallas and Baltimore game. This is week 3, and we're already talking about a must-win for both these teams. Wouldn't you agree?
Man, I don't know if it's must-win for Dallas. They've already got one on the board. But if you're the Ravens, you can't go to 0-3.
Yeah, I looked that up today. 6 teams since the Super Bowl started has made the playoffs going 0-3. So I think this is going to be a playoff atmosphere in week 3. I know that sounds stupid, but it really is going to be. And I like Dallas. I think the line is a little bit of an overreaction to how they played last week. I think if this was a game in week 1, I think Dallas would have been favored by about 3 or 4 points. So that's why I think this line is just an overreaction to a bad week. We'll see Sunday night, but I just don't see Baltimore being favored in that game. Both teams really have to win. The Steelers are going to run away with the division, Hammer.
Your Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, I got bad news for you, Kenny. I got a pick coming up later in the show that you might not like. I don't want to give anything away, but you might be crying in that terrible towel of yours, my friend.
Well, for once, I hope you're wrong just one time. I'm always rooting for you, but if it's what I think it is, I hope you're wrong this time.
Where can people sign up for your services?
Yeah, look me up on Facebook, KB Sports. All the information's on there about how to sign up and become a client.
Kenny Britt, KB Sports. We'll talk next week, man. Thanks so much.
All right, guys. Thanks for having me.
All right, so Kenny is in on the Cowboys. I'm looking at this game too, but I'm looking at this from a different perspective. I'm looking at this total. Over under 48.5. Not many years you can say the Ravens defense is overrated, but look what's happened this year so far. 27 points to Kansas City. All right, fine. But 26 to Las Vegas. You let Gardner Minshew and company come into your house and do you dirty. This isn't the same Ravens defense that we're used to. And I think the Cowboys are better than what happened last week. It was one of those fluke games. The Saints caught lightning in a bottle. Cowboys are going to score some points. So I'm going to ride the lightning here, Rob.
Ooh.
I'm going over 48.5, the Ravens at the Cowboys. Now, another interesting game on the slate is Kansas City at Atlanta. The Chiefs are a 3.5-point road favorite against the Falcons, coming off a big, dramatic Monday Night Football win. The over-under is 46.5.
All right, so on paper, this should be a high-scoring affair. Falcons have a ton of weapons. Chiefs have Mahomes and the video game offense. But games aren't played on paper, Hammer. They're played on the field. And you have to factor in the possibility of Kirk Cousins once again peeing down his leg in prime time.
Right.
Atlanta will likely try to mitigate that. I think they're going to use that two-headed Monster Robinson and Algier, which will run some clock. Unders have hit 70% of primetime games, which this is one on Thursday, Sunday, and Monday in 2022 and 2023 and 2024 combined. Put all that together, I'm going under 46.5 points.
Under 46.5, Chiefs at the Falcons. And now let's bring it to your Chicago Bears, my Indianapolis Colts. A lot of interceptions and bad football. The Bears on the road. Colts are a 1.5 to 1 point favorite. Again, we're filming this, recording this on a Thursday, so the line may fluctuate just a little bit. The over-under is set at 43.5, Rob.
All right, so I'm going to be at this game. I got some tickets from work, so as Bob Euchre said, I'll be down there in the front row.
Front row. Congratulations to the 8 people that understand that reference. Those classic Miller Lite commercials, so good.
Yeah, look, this is probably going to be a home game for the Bears, right? Every time the Bears come into Indianapolis, because before there was the Colts, everybody was a Bears fan.
It was a home game for them at Houston this past week.
Yes.
You could hear Bear fans on the television.
Idiots like me travel well. I'm willing to drive 30 minutes to go cheer for my team. So you're going to mitigate any home field advantage the Colts might have. The Bears defense is really good. They essentially played the Texans to a standstill, minus that one guy making 93 60-plus yard kicks in that game, Hammer. And the Colts aren't doing that well. Now, the Bears' offense stinks. Let me rephrase. Offensive line stinks. I think Caleb Williams isn't as bad as people are saying. Just needs time to throw the ball. But the Colts' defense stinks. Secondary, train wreck, DeForest Buckner out on that defensive line. So I say even though the Bears are bad up front, advantage Bears, all things equal, I'll take the points. Give me the Bears plus 1.5.
All right, before I give you my thoughts on this game, let's hear from the man that delivered a win for us last week. Scott Long, comedian, damn fine American, the former host of All Indiana Bets, and the man that's currently on a one-game winning streak by picking the long shot, which are Vegas underdogs. Scott Long, talk to us a little bit about the Bears against the Colts.
I have had a terrible cold. And do you ever blame like family members for giving you the cold? You're like, you're trying to figure out who gave you the cold. Have you ever done that? Maybe I'm an awful person.
Oh, no. You've got to find answers. You've got to find out who gave it to you.
Yeah, right. Well, I believe it was watching the Colts. Somehow watching that game last Sunday, and I was even on the Packers. That's why I'm 1-0. It was the easiest bet of the year. I'm starting to think that Anthony Richardson's biggest fan, RFK Jr. That's why his voice sounds like that. He's screaming at the TV, watching him play.
I never thought of it that way, but yes.
Okay, so this week, Hammer, you've worked with me before, and I have had these tenets for a while. Gus Bradley's terrible. I didn't just come to this. I've felt that way from the beginning. He runs a 2013 defense that no one else runs. It's awful. I know he's friends with Ballard and Steichen, by the way. That's why he's still there. Okay, they both like him. Everybody says Steichen's a genius. Maybe he's a genius last year because the guy that leads the NFL in pass completion percentage, 77%, Gardner Minshew. Second in yards, total yards this year. Whereas the guy that replaced him that they're going to go to the Super Bowl with, if you ask the fans last year, under 50% completions. You cannot win that way. You cannot win that way. It just does not work. There's like 40 minutes to 20 every game that the Colts defense is dealing with. Yeah, the Colts defense doesn't look good, but when you're out on the field 40 minutes of the game and your quarterback, the only thing he can do is make big plays, you can't win that way. There's never been a team that ever was able to win that way. So I'm going against the Colts again this week, even though do I think Caleb Williams is better at this point? Yeah, a little bit, but not enough that the bigger issue is just the Colts' problems just everywhere. The Gus Bradley still doesn't have a tight end. The offensive line is incredibly wealthy and incredibly average. So give me the Bears to cover the short number, and I'm going to go 2-0, sadly, against my favorite team.
You do sound like RFK Jr. right now. Like, I hope you're okay because I'm getting a strong RFK Jr. vibe out of that voice.
Yeah, I've got a bear in my trunk right now. We're looking for a park. I hit it. We're big into wildlife and the nature, and whenever we murder an animal that is on the road, so I'm on the road a lot, I always put it in my trunk and then look for a park.
There's somebody listening right now that doesn't understand a single word of what you're talking about, but damn it, those are good jokes, Scott.
I feel like Dennis Miller when he was on Monday Night Football.
Awesome stuff, man. Go take some throat lozenges, and we'll talk next week.
Thanks, guys. Once again, you're great, Hammer, but that Rob, he's perfect during this segment. Thanks. Bye.
All right, so Rob Kendall is on the Bears. Scott Long is on the Bears. I am on the total on this one here. I'm looking at this over-under set at 43.5. And this just feels like a 23-20 type of game. I think my favorite prop bet that I've seen posted, and I don't even know if it's real, but somebody posted this out there. What's going to be higher this Sunday? Bears against the Colts. Total number of interceptions, total number of touchdown passes.
Oh, wow.
Like, and the more I thought about it, it's like, man, Anthony Richardson should have thrown about 4 or 5 last week. There were some drops. And Caleb Williams looked a little rough, especially toward the end of that Bears and Texans game last week. This might be a situation where the Bears run the ball down the Colts' throat. So far, the Colts have not been able to stop the run, and I know the Bears haven't been able to get it going, but without DeForest Buckner on a line that was already getting gashed, the worst in the league against the run, you throw your one Pro Bowler on that line out the window. I think the Bears are going to run the ball. I think they're going to burn the clock. You're going to have turnovers. Who likes punts? You like punts? You like punts? You're getting punts, baby. You look at this total of 43.5. You look at these teams playing right here. I mean, come on.
Too damn high.
Too damn high. We're going under 43.5. Bears against the Colts. All right. Let's talk about the team the Chicago Bears played last week, Rob. Another AFC South versus NFC North matchup. We've got the Texans on the road at the Vikings. The Texans are a 2-point road favorite. Over-under set at 45.5.
Yeah, C.J. Stroud this and C.J. Stroud that. Don't give me any of that, Hammer. I've watched this dude be anything but a world beater against the Bears and the Colts. Decent enough.
He's pretty good.
Yeah, but not by not any means elite. You want elite? Justin Jefferson is elite. And Sam Darnold, not bad either, but he's not a world beater. Now,
you're going to put C.J. Stroud and Sam Darnold in the same category.
You've seen Sam Darnold play so far this year. My point on all of this is Sam Darnold's best weapon may not play. Justin Jefferson, still a question mark, and if he does play, he won't be playing at 50%. I think the Vikings defense is pretty darn good. They look pretty darn good against San Francisco. I think the Texans are okay. I'm not sold on anybody being some offensive juggernaut. It's in Minnesota. I'm going under 45.5 points.
Under 45.5. All right. I have had a lot of success this year betting on the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yes, you have.
I said at the beginning of the year, I like their season win total to be higher. I think we're on pace to hit that. I love Mike Tomlin as an underdog. Week 1, we hit that. Money line win last week. But Pittsburgh's at home now, and they're a home favorite. And they're taking on a Chargers team that's like the mirror image, but better.
Yeah.
So everything the Steelers do well, defense, run the ball, I think right now the Chargers are doing that better than the Steelers. They're out Steelering the Steelers. And I know our resident pro, Kenny Britt's going to get his panties in a britch here in a bunch. But I like the Chargers in this one. Number 1 defense in the NFL. You think Justin Fields is going to be able to be the tactician that can break down the number 1 defense in the NFL? Rob, you've been a Bears fan. You've seen this kid's act over a number of years.
Stinks. S-T-I-N-X, stinks.
Chargers have the leading rusher in J.K. Dobbins, one of the league's best left tackles. They are going to run the ball. I like the Chargers here. And for those of you thinking, well, wait a minute, that's a cross-country flight. I thought we always faded West Coast teams going out east. They stayed on the East Coast this week.
Oh.
They stayed in North Carolina. They're practicing. Jim Harbaugh has got these dudes with an edge. So give me the Chargers getting 1.5 plus 1.5. Now, can I put an asterisk on this?
Totally.
If Justin Herbert doesn't play, abort.
Right.
We believe he's going to play, fighting a little bit of an injury. If game day happens and it turns out he lost his hand in some sort of bizarre accident in the kitchen, abort. But if he's in that lineup, give me the Chargers getting 1.5. All right. Take another break here. When we come back, we got a couple more picks for you. Rob has got balling on a budget. We're going to take a little trip to the prop shop. We are having a good time. Crack open a cold one. Get your beers ready. We are the Degenerates Next Door. Having a good time with you guys, making some bets, having a lot of fun, man. This has been good. Again, Rob and I are not professional handicappers. We have professional handicappers on this show. But again, the amount of time and research that we focus on doing this, it feels like we're professionals. I feel the pressure, Rob.
I feel like, like when those guys go to fantasy camp, in spring training.
Right.
Sort of like us. Like we're throwing the ball, we're hitting the ball, we're playing with professionals. That's what we are. We're fantasy camp sports bettors.
And you know what? Your college record, I would put against any professional out there. And I think my track record, for the most part, it's been pretty good.
Yeah.
I mean, there are people that are charging admission for their picks that don't do half as well as we do.
Right, and they're not nearly as entertaining.
Or attractive.
That's true. Very
damn right.
Beautiful human.
Speaking of beautiful humans, let's talk about the people that live in Cleveland, Ohio.
Oh, wow.
Jesus. The Giants at the Browns. The Browns are a 6.5-point home favorite here. The over-under is set at 38.5. You mentioned this earlier. A lot of low totals this week because unders have been cashing left and right. I am going to break that trend.
Uh-oh.
I'm going over 38.5, the Giants at the Browns. Now, hear me out.
So wait a second. So you think the Browns are going to score 35 points in this game is what you're telling me?
Hear me out. I think you're going to see interceptions thrown by Watson and Daniel Jones. I think you're going to see some good field position as a result of that. And 5 of the last 6 Cleveland games at home have all hit the over. and they're at home here. This feels like a 24-17 type game. Somebody's defense is going to score or at least set up a score. And if that happens, our toes are tapping. 24-17, that gets you where you need to be. We're going to take the over here.
Bold move, my friend. I love it. I love you laying the over, going out there and getting it on that game because, boy, that'll give you some reason to watch it because that'll be about it.
Deshaun Watson, Danny Dimes. Come on, kids. Daddy needs a little offense here. Now, you're taking us to one of the two Monday night games.
Yeah, so I've got two picks in the same game. Do not parlay them together. Bet them separate. We always talk about all the time about how parlays, unless you're having fun with them, are kind of sucker bets.
That being said, coming up in just a few minutes, Rob Kendall's balling on a budget parlay.
All right, the first one, it's Jags at the Bills. I've got under 45.5. Here's my thinking. Hype is driving this number versus reality. People hear Lawrence versus Allen, they think points. But the Jags offense stinks. S-T-I-N-X stinks. They're only averaging 15 per game. The defense, not bad, though, only giving up 19 points per game. The spread seems a little low, too, at 4.5, and we'll get to that in a second. But I could see quite a few field goals in this game, and ultimately it's going to come down to whether or not a couple of sustained drives end up in field goals or not. I think for the Bills, I say yes. Give me the under. I'm taking under 45.5 in the ballgame.
Under 45.5. And you mentioned there are two parts to this.
Yes.
Not doing a parlay,
No.
but two parts.
Give you two things to cheer for in the game. So the original spread came out of the line, came out at 5.5. It's moved down to 4.5, and that's a big deal for me. If the name of the game is to make money, Hammer, which is what we're trying to do here, it doesn't matter whatever form it comes in. And in this case, the Jags are 0-2 thus far as underdogs against the spread. The line started, as we said, at 5.5. And it's actually moved down to 4.5. And I think that's because people are still wrongly enamored with Trevor Lawrence. The Jags are only converting 26% of the third downs. If you try and maximize your investment, parlays or sucker bets, like we said, split them up, gives you two opportunities to hit. And I think that makes me all in on the Bills Mafia, all in on cheering for the Bills. I like the Bills covering the 4.5.
All right, we will reset all of our game bets in just a moment. But I got some prop bets for you. I called this segment the Prop Shop. And again, because we don't have a budget on this program, I produced my own show open for this,
exciting.
okay? Tell me if this works for you.
I take you to the
Prop.
shop. I let you lick the lollipop. Go ahead, girl, don't you stop.
Big finish.
Keep on going till you hit the
Prop. It's the official Prop Shop open music right there. We're going to start with DeAndre Swift of the Chicago Football Bears. Haven't been able to get the running game going so far. They will this Sunday. Over 52.5 against a Colts defense that does not have DeForest Buckner up front. And even when they did have him, they're last in the league at stopping the run. We're going under 51.5 for Pittsburgh's running back Najee Harris. So Jim Harbaugh's not dumb. He's going to take the league's number one rated defense. He's going to stack the box and dare Justin Fields to beat him through the air. If he does that, you tip your hat to him and you move out of town. I don't think that's going to happen, though. Under 51.5, Pittsburgh's Najee Harris. Anytime touchdown, Cleveland's Jerome Ford. That's plus money, plus 100. Anytime touchdown, Dallas wide receiver CeeDee Lamb. They're going to get him back in the mix. When he's rolling, the Cowboy offense is rolling. That's also plus money, anytime touchdown. And those are the picks for the Prop Shop. Now, parlays or sucker bets. Here's a parlay bet from Rob Kendall.
Yeah, there's no bigger sucker than me, right? And boy, Hammer, there are some bad quarterbacks playing football on Sunday, and if you put them all together, you might be able to make a few bucks on a little bit of an investment. So here's what we got. We got Bo Nix. He's a rookie quarterback. The Broncos, they're at the Buccaneers. Their defense is pretty good. You got a rookie on the road against a pretty good defense. That seems like an interception to me. You've got Andy Dalton. Bryce Young is so bad that as the number one pick 2 games into the season, they're like, you're out of here. Here's the thing. I watched Andy Dalton as a quarterback for the Bears for a part of a season a couple years ago. He stinks. They're at the Raiders. Raiders defense, not bad. And then you got Caleb Williams against Anthony Richardson. Bears against the Colts. They both stink. Put them all together. They're all going to throw interceptions. $5 to win 38. Sign me up for that.
The all-interception parlay, baby. I love it. I'm pumping my fist like Kirk Gibson running the bases right now.
Let's go.
All right, real quick. We got to bounce out of here, but here's the recap for me. I am on the under Thursday Night Football, 38.5. Hunter Henry, over 32.5 receiving yards. Breece Hall, over 31.5 receiving yards. And Aaron Rodgers, under 30.5 attempts. I'm on the over on the Cowboys hosting the Ravens. That is 48.5. I've got the under in the Colts game, 43.5. The Chargers getting the points, plus 1.5 at the Steelers. And I will ride the Lightning and go over 38.5. The Browns taking on the Giants. Prop bets, Swift over 52.5. Harris under 51.5. Jerome Ford, CeeDee Lamb, anytime touchdowns, Rob Kendall.
All right, I've got the Bears getting 1.5 at the Colts. I've got the Vikings and Texans going under 45.5. I got 2 plays in the Jags at the Bills on Monday night. I've got under 45.5 points and the Bills giving 4.5. And I've got the Chiefs versus the Falcons under 46.5 points. And then it's an all-interception balling on a budget. Bo Nix, Andy Dalton, Caleb Williams, and Anthony Richardson all to throw an interception.
Those are our picks. May the odds be ever in your favor. For Rob Kendall, for Kenny Britt, for Scott Long, I'm Jason Hammer. Let's win so much damn money we'll be even more obnoxious next week. Good luck, everybody.